Hello and welcome to another session here at Forward 50. This one is on pioneering AI ethics. So if you've been looking for that, you found the right spot. My name's Alex Howard. I'm here to help host and moderate this discussion, but I'm going to be handing it off to some people who have a lot to say about this subject, and they'll be pulling this conversation together and including you as they go. And what really digging into is what Fujitsu is doing to try to make artificial intelligence more trustworthy, an issue that is, I think, confronting people everywhere on the planet as more and more digital services use the suite of technologies that we're referring to loosely as AI, and thinking about how and where trust matters, how and where data is used, how and where you can make sure that people feel like they can have confidence in the outcomes, whether they're regulators or politicians or citizens, residents, other people who are trying to interact with a different government or government service. So we're going to dig into this question, and I'm going to turn it over to two people who've been thinking about this, and one in particular, Dr. Aisha Nasir. She's a research manager at the Fujitsu Laboratories of Europe Limited, and she's going to be in discussion with Victoria Thibault, who is also at Fujitsu. I'll remind you of the code of conduct, which you can see online. I know people are thinking about how to make sure these conversations are healthy and productive and real. And now turn it over to our participants. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Alex. So I just wanted to do a couple of little introductions, including an introduction of our guest speaker, Dr. Aisha Nasir. So the Fujitsu team is very excited to present to you a presentation on pioneering AI ethics. To start with, maybe we can begin the slide deck. And I'll just introduce you to the rest of the team. Are you able to go to the previous slide? Thank you. So this is our Fujitsu team. So with us today, listening in, is Wendell Brown, our Program Executive for Benefits Delivery Modernization. Myself, Victoria Thibault, Head of Management Consulting and Solutions. We also have on the line Dean Perlazzi, who is the Vice President of Business Development for our Global AI and Quantum-Inspired Computing Innovation Center out of Vancouver for Fujitsu Information Technology Labs. We also have James Garnier with us, who is our Director of Federal Public Sector. And finally, Ray Buseman, who is our Strategic Consultant for Digital Transformation for Fujitsu. So in addition, obviously, I wanted to give you a little bit of a background on our guest speaker, Dr. Aisha Nasir. She is a research manager for Fujitsu Laboratories of Europe. Fortunately, it's not too late in the day for her, thankfully, so this worked out quite well. Dr. Nasir leads our AI ethics research activity for Fujitsu at the AI for People Forum, the EU AI Alliance, and the IEEE Global Initiative on Ethics of Autonomous and Intelligent Systems. She is a GDPR certified professional and participates in debates around AI ethics, privacy, and digital trust, including bias mitigation and AI fairness around the world. Previously, she has provided strategic direction and expert advice in a variety of industries such as healthcare, finance, IoT, and cybersecurity. She's an innovative scientist with several patents and has been an author of numerous papers in journals, international conferences, and book chapters. Dr. Nasir is a member of the founding editorial board of the Springer Journal of AI and Ethics, and we are so pleased to have her here to present our discussion today on pioneering of AI ethics. Dr. Nasir?
Well, thank you so much, Victoria, for the very detailed introduction, comprehensive enough. So I will be talking about the AI ethics in terms of what Fujitsu is doing and how Fujitsu is leading the way towards the delivery of a trusted AI. Just a little bit about the background and how we have achieved and what we have achieved so far is from the road to success point of view. We became a founding member of AI for People, which is Europe's forum, first forum talking about the nature of the risks involved and how AI ethics can be addressed at the European level, but also at the global level. Later on, we also joined the European Commission's AI Alliance, which is another consortia within the European Commission. All the Europe states are member of that as well. And we also participated in a deep dive interview, which was conducted by the AI4EU project a year ago. And also we were appointed as a high-level expert group member, advisory group member to participate in the European consultation on AI. Then Fujitsu also formulated external advisory committee on AI and ethics, which is mainly in Japan, but that oversees the AI technologies that we produce and how the compliance is met with the ethical guidelines. I will be talking through these later in the slides as well. Another technology landscape point of view, this is sort of an introduction about what I would be talking on. So the diagram on the left-hand side that you could see is the 7 requirements which have been published by the European Commission's guidelines on trustworthy AI in April 2019. And within those requirements, we have mapped the principles, the core principles for AI ethics, like the human autonomy, the prevention of harm, fairness, and explicability. And looking at these requirements, we could extract some key technologies that we would be working on, or we could work on, in terms of the explainability, the accountability, the fairness, safety, robustness, and quality. And Fujitsu's AI ethics core principles are the key. They are our essence around which the technologies are developed. Now, if I take a little bit of time to explain the artificial intelligence and the problem at hand. So the global prevalence of artificial intelligence and its increasingly ubiquitous role in the society and business, impacting on every aspect of our lives, has ensured an era where trust has never been so important before. With urban development at massive scales, harnessing societies with diverse cultures and values, the sustainability of such developments cannot be guaranteed, unless the cultural values and ethics are embedded in the design of AI technologies that operate such societies. This is simply because when AI makes decisions that relate to human rights or dignity, it becomes absolutely crucial to have confidence that these are trusted in being fair, reliable, and explainable. As some impactful examples, AI is globally used for addressing the COVID-19 pandemic issues. We all are aware of that. AI models and tools are extensively used around the globe, providing core insights to track and fight the outbreak. So these are the positive sides of what we see within the AI. Moving further, sorry, but seems like my laptop is stuck. No, I can forward it now. So moving further, we can see that there are some other issues with the AI. Now, given the wonders that AI could do today, some key questions may arise as: can we trust AI? Does AI follow ethics? And why do we require the ethics for AI? And now, if we look at some examples that cause problems due to the lack of AI ethics, and one of the key examples is about the facial recognition. It has been an issue at the global level. It still is, due to the technical problems of bad accuracy for statistical minorities such as Black women, but also due to the non-technical problems where organizations who use this technology are not trusted. I will look at another example. And this one is very typical to the UK. So there has been a recent entrance examinations where AI was applied to compute GCSEs and A-level grades in the UK. These exams are usually taken at the end of the compulsory school education. Now, there were accusations made on the AI-based examination results that the AI system was biased against students with poorer backgrounds. Now, this one is a recent case of AI algorithmic bias. And such examples indicate that today AI is already affecting our lives and our dignity. Since the reliance on AI is growing exponentially, we cannot possibly compromise on such AI outcomes that entail bias, discrimination, or opaqueness in any form or shape. Moreover, the organizations who misuse these technologies lost their trust. From the wider social implementation of AI that can be trusted. Not only the technical, but also the non-technical aspects should be considered and improved. In terms of the technical aspects, AI needs to be fair, accountable, and transparent. These are the topics under active research and development all over the globe. But is that good enough? This is the question to ask. I mean, we don't think that's sufficient. Why? Because since AI is not, or fairness is not monolithic, the fairness criteria need to be different from region to region and to the business domain accordingly. When I talk about Fujitsu, what we are doing at Fujitsu, we reckon that in order to apply AI widely to the real world, to be recognized and to be trusted, moreover, the non-technical aspects such as the care for society are more important than the technical aspects alone. Therefore, Fujitsu's approach to tackle ethics involves a plethora of technical and non-technical or social activities. We have identified complex requirements that cannot be solved without considering the non-technical or social aspects, such as cultural differences, such as diversity, such as fairness. And we aim to establish technologies that satisfy such requirements, social requirements. It is aligned to our human-centric approach. Now, in order to make AI trusted and human-centric, unlike the conventional approach, we, as I said earlier, are investigating into the social or the non-technical aspects by working actively with an ecosystem of stakeholders and cooperating with many other organizations. To deliver trusted AI service, if you could see the right-hand side, we are working on regulation, we are working on standardization, and we are working on the certification. In terms of the regulation, considering AI ethics is crucial to ensure that the appropriate use of AI is considered while developing AI technologies. In doing so, we have participated in several ongoing international consortium-led discussions, such as the European AI Alliance that I've mentioned before, the G7 AI Alliance as well. The European Commission is leading discussions on regulating AI through the European AI Alliance High-Level Expert Group on AI, and the ECAI, which is the European Consultation on AI, which is the first of its kind initiative in Europe to gather people's or public opinion on AI. For the standardization and certification, we pioneered and continue to contribute to AI ethical guidelines through various European and worldwide initiatives, including the AI for People, the IEEE Ethically Aligned Design, including Oceanus, ISO, and IEC. In order to make Fujitsu trusted AI provider, at first, we have made our code of conduct. Now, when we talk about the code of conduct, in terms of the code of conduct, Fujitsu takes a leading role in evolving and implementing the responsible AI initiatives that are underpinned by the ethical principles. In March 2019, we made a Fujitsu Group AI commitment. Now, how did we make that Fujitsu AI Group commitment? We combined the Fujitsu Way. We combined our employees' code of conduct and the ethical principles from the AI for People, which is a multi-stakeholder forum in Europe with the global activities around the promotion of AI and ethics. And what you can see now is what I've just mentioned, that how did we evolve our AI commitment. This commitment demonstrates the dedication to safe and secure use of AI. You could read the bullet points: providing value to the customers, strive for human-centric AI, sustainable society with AI, and other bullet points as well. This is available online. If you Google, if you're interested in learning more, you can Google Fujitsu AI commitment, and it will take you to our press release, which talks about this in more detail. Moving on to the, So for the governance of AI, if I look at the second point on the right-hand side, moving a step forward, we're taking AI seriously. In September 2019, we established Fujitsu Group external advisory committee on AI ethics to check Fujitsu's AI activity. And this committee aims to provide feedback to the Fujitsu Group AI commitment and embark on an ongoing dialogue with stakeholders to support the safe and secure deployment of AI in the society. The committee is attended by the Fujitsu president, and the committee results are reported to Fujitsu board for maintaining the governance. Finally, for the education, Fujitsu is launching company-wide e-learning trainings and education on AI ethics. We have already completed the AI ethics e-learning for all the Fujitsu Group employees in Japan, and soon it will be rolled out worldwide to raise employees' awareness on AI ethics. Fujitsu has been at the forefront of AI ethics since several years, and the next slide is about an example. In 2018, in the US, we conducted an event around AI ethics at the Fujitsu Laboratories Advanced Technology Symposium, FLATS. It's quite well known in the North America, to discuss the importance of making AI trustworthy through explainability. We also have another example, which is in Europe, in the UK. We had the Fujitsu Innovation Gathering in 2019, and we hosted a panel of discussion led by key figures around the ethics, and talk about the topic of preserving transparency and auditability, which are the key topics, anyways, to discuss about the ethics. We believe that trust is a factor that holds the potential to establishing lifelong relationships with our customers. At Fujitsu Labs, we endeavor to work with a virtuous ecosystem of stakeholders and attempt to solve real problems. This reflects to our proactive participation in the development and creation of a globally acceptable framework for the trusted AI, such as around AI fairness. And in doing so, we engage in several collaborations to identify future sector requirements on AI fairness from a human-centric perspective, which is our core DNA. We're also working on addressing technical aspects of AI in collaboration with City University of London and the Intesa Sanpaolo Bank. It's an Italian bank, but with branches all over the globe, for the development of technologies based on social science and to address regional fairness criteria, for example, in financial applications, in credit lending, something like that. And we're also developing novel technologies to match the social requirements of AI ethics as well. We have embraced several endorsements and support from partners on the significance of this topic. For example, Dr. Asman Stamp, the senior lecturer and the course director from the City University of London, she said AI might be biased and more research is needed on ways to directly involve users and stakeholders to assess the AI fairness. Also, Dr. Andrea Claudio Constantini, the head of the data science and AI at the Intesa Sanpaolo Bank, highlighted it is important to focus on the principles of AI ethics in banking and finance. Yet another quote from Mr. Michelangelo Barache Bonvicini. He's the president of Atomium, AI for People, that we have been collaborating for almost 3 years now. He mentions that we value Fujitsu's collaboration with AI for People in providing significant insights for the generation of AI ethics guidelines and recommendations. We would also like to emphasize that our AI ethics activities are supported by several Fujitsu entities forming the Fujitsu AI Ethics Network worldwide. It's not a very local initiative, it's the company initiative. And in order to deliver the trusted AI, Fujitsu's activities span across the globe. You can see in Japan, in Europe, in America, we have our colleagues who are working and supporting AI ethics is by the entire Fujitsu company. So from Fujitsu's entities forming our AI ethics network, many colleagues working in various divisions stress the significance of AI ethics. One of our colleagues, Dr. Kathy Mulligan, she's the VP and Regional CTO of Northwest Europe, said that the key part of ethical AI is ensuring it is embedded into the day-to-day activities of engineers in a company and not added as an afterthought, which is a very important message. Also, Mr. Marco Canton, Senior European Affairs Executive, mentioned that AI ethics must be one of the cornerstones of the development of AI solutions in Europe. And yet again, that supports the initiatives that we are working on. And Mr. Junichi Arahori, he's the head of Digital Technology Promotion Legal Office in Japan, and he emphasized that AI ethics should be treated as a risk management or compliance issues in companies. So looking at all these different quotes and endorsement from our colleagues and from our partners, I would like to conclude here saying that we have made proactive contributions to establishing the ethical guidelines and best practices that intend to form part of the EU's ethical framework on AI. Our fundamental aim is to establish several best practices in building human-centric AI for the future that are transparent, fair, and explainable. And I would like to welcome our audiences that we would like to involve, and we would like to invite our stakeholders, collaborators, to let's work together to realize a promising future by trusted and ethical AI with us. And thank you very much. That's the conclusion of my talk.
Thank you, Dr. Nazir. We are absolutely open to questions and feedback on the session. If you've been looking in the chat window, Dean Prolazzi has put the link to the Fujitsu Labs Advanced Technology Symposium that Dr. Nazir mentioned in her talk, because it is a free event. And this year it's going to focus on digital trust and security in the new normal. So I would encourage all of you to check that out, because I think that there's a lot of really innovative thinking that's gone into that would be worth understanding a little bit better. Does anyone have any questions for Dr. Nazir on this important topic of AI ethics? So, one thing that I would say while we wait for additional questions to come in is maybe Dr. Nazir, is there a specific example where you have applied or seen AI ethics applied that you may want to expand on and highlight for the group, so that they can get a more sort of real, tangible feel for how it's applied?
I mean, you mean internally or externally?
Either or. I think externally probably is more relevant. But if we have an internal example that you feel is more highly relevant, then I would say either or.
I would like to quote an example that we have been hearing from quite a few sources as well. So when we talk about the control that AI is taking over on our lives, that means that how AI is driving our decisions and how AI is manipulating the way we interact with the system. So if I go to a bank, to apply for loan or mortgages, or if I am in a driverless car, for example, and my control is with the car, so I'm not controlling the car, but the car is controlling me, then obviously there are a huge percentage that the risks would be significantly higher. And then it is very important and imperative that there is some way of auditing or some way of explaining the decisions that the AI is taking. And I've given you two examples. So one is about the financial cases where they're lending cases, financial applications, more mortgages, and etc. And the other one is about automotive driving. And we've heard about the Tesla incident, we have heard about the trolley problem, we have heard about the Uber accident. So they're quite vivid examples where things have gone wrong because of the lack of AI ethics.
Excellent, thank you. And we do have a number of questions that have come in, so I'll just start. We've got one, looks like from Jim. In the context of just reducing the risk of fairness and bias to AI decision making, how are safeguards being implemented in AI to ensure fairness to all citizens, i.e. unfairness that occurs when an AI or ML decision has widely different outcomes for a different social or marginalized citizen?
Well, in this case, I would like to stress the point that since fairness is not monolithic, the fairness criteria needs to be different from region to region. And in the business domain economy, this is exactly what I said in one of my slides. So in order to empower the global citizen with AI, we need to also consider the cultural diversity of awareness when we are developing the AI system. It needs to be done from all perspectives. And therefore, at Fujitsu, we reckon that in order to apply AI widely to the real world, to the real problems, we need to recognize that the human element, the care for the society, are more important, as just developing the technology itself. So the human-centric perspective, which Fujitsu has always have held, the human-centric vision, our human-centric perspective, I think that is the key. It may not be 100% avoided, let's say, but it would very substantially reduce the risks.
No, and I think you're absolutely right. I think, the fact that our focus is on citizens and the human-centric sort of focus and theme first as an enablement to technology is really, I would say, at the cornerstone of where we are in terms of ethical AI, that we're focused on the citizen first, and then figuring out how that technology can support it, as opposed to the other way around, which is where you can run into challenges trying to then, throw the citizen perspective on top of technology that's already been structured.
That's right, spot
on. So we do have another question from Alex. How can you audit machine learning? Can AI scientists understand how a model is working when they make it? How does explainability apply, and does that harm the right standard? So maybe let's start with the first. Can you audit machine learning, and can AI scientists understand how a model is working when they make it?
So they're kind of 2-3 questions in one big chunk.
It really is. So let's start with the first one. How can you audit machine learning?
So there are technical advancements going around the globe. We could not at the moment say that this is the perfect standard or de facto at the moment. So many initiatives are going around the globe. Most of them are non-technical, but from the technical perspectives, the advancement needs to be done in algorithmic. The way the algorithms are developed from the technical point of view, how we can make it easy for the auditors to audit the AI system. In the European Commission's document that I mentioned earlier, that was released in April 2019, there are some checklists and some guidelines over there and the recommendations about auditability and how we can add accountability to an AI system. They are mentioning about, for example, you need to have traceability as one of the requirements. You need to have redress of the negative impacts. You need to be reporting the negative impacts, and the feedback needs to be considered. So from the users, and how do we do that technically? This is up to each vendor, to each ICT vendor, how they actually develop these algorithms from the coding point of view. So I hope I answered the first question.
You did. So I guess a follow-on to that would be, how can AI scientists understand how the model is working when they build it, or more importantly, do they build it and then they're able to test its functionality? Is there a mechanism to allow it to happen during the build?
Right. The black box has been a big kind of topic of debate. So we know there are, especially in machine learning, when it comes to the CNNs, the convolutional neural networks, or other types of neural networks where the decisions are made based on the feature extraction and the layers, and we can't have possibly the visibility into what is happening within those layers to give us the final decision or the answer. So when we were in a debate at the European Parliament with the AI for People committee the year before, we had this question as well, and there are two aspects to that. One aspect is that we do not have to explain everything and anything and to everyone. So the explanation can be targeted explanations. So whether they are for a layman, whether they are for a data scientist, whether they are for, some sort of, let's say, a professional like loan officers. So who are these explanations for? So first of all, who are the target audiences? And once we define the target audiences, then we can talk about the extent to which these explanations need to be made. So do they have to be made to the lowest level of granularity, so very, very minute, or could it be high level explanations? And now recently there are some technical advancements where we could actually explain the layers, and we could actually deep dive when we go into the operational framework of the AI system. We could actually have explainability embedded within those layers. But this is very, very new. This is very like an emerging technology at the moment, and not much is available online.
Excellent. Okay, thank you. So we have another question from Shamir. During one of my presentations on explainable AI, sorry, I just lost the question. Just give me a quick second here. Where I was showing how an AI explainability framework works to explain the decision-making process of an AI model. Someone asked me how these frameworks work to explain the model. I couldn't help but get into some technical details, which kind of defeated the purpose of explaining the process in plain language. So how would you answer the question? Or maybe to put it differently, is the industry working on developing products that explain these automated decision-making processes in plain language to non-technical audiences? Because I think that is a big challenge.
Well, I would like to recall the answer that I made previously for the previous question. So this is very rightly spotted, and I appreciate that Samir has asked this question, because we have to understand who are the receivers of these explanations. Are these made for the public, general audiences, or they are targeted for the technical stuff, for the data scientists? If it is for the public, then obviously it doesn't have to be technical, because that absolutely does kill the purpose of the explanation. Because if I talk about, technology to a layman, let's say my granny, and she was, okay, what is she talking about? I told her to explain me, and she has confused me even further. So the target audiences, the receivers of the explanations, need to be defined. That's the first step. Once we know who is this for, then obviously, given the nature of the audiences, we could then shape the explanation. And there is no harm in simplifying the explanation to a level where we say, well, you were not given, for example, a loan because of your age, or because of your whatever the reason could be, because of your income, because of, could be XYZ. This is a very simple, easy to understand explanation. But also from the data scientist point of view, the explanation could be why this person is not given this thing, for example, because there are some features that are impacting on the decision. What are those features? Let's extrapolate those features and go into more technical details. So let's not shy away from having very simple to very complicated or very technical explanations, because that's the very nature of it. Who is the audience? We have to find that first.
And that makes sense. I mean, I would think that, an easy way maybe to bridge that gap is to really focus on what are the outcomes that we're trying to achieve with a particular AI solution. And that would be more in sort of, lay terms or business terms. And then you've got the science that is kind of behind it to explain the reasons behind why those outcomes may not have applied to that particular situation.
Yeah.
So based on your experience within the EU and across the globe, what kind of policies and compliance monitoring is Fujitsu using to measure how well AI ethics are embedded into the day-to-day as part of our solutioning?
So I did mention quite a few standards and regulatory models in my talk. I mean, the existing ones, or the ones that are established very purely for this purpose, is the IEEE P7000 suite, for example. The IEEE ethically aligned design is another, and the ISO is working on it, as well as we have the European Commission, which has just published their guidelines as well. So looking at all of these, so in terms of what we are doing at Fujitsu, so we are looking at all of these. And I did mention it in one of my slides, that we are looking at the standardization and certification as part of our approach, our total sum approach as well. GDPR is another one for the privacy concerns.
And I would say it still continues to be a bit of a work in progress. Is that
Yes,
accurate?
that's right.
So aside from the unknown black box effect of the use of AI, what other specific concerns do you understand that stakeholders have expressed? So for example, are they afraid of being disenfranchised by decisions made against them? Or is it generally just a lack of understanding about how AI works that creates those concerns?
Well, it depends. It depends on the interest of the stakeholders. I appreciate that that most people are concerned with AI ethics, but let's not forget that there are few which are not. So for them, it's AI ethics. Oh, that's just a hype word, or that's just a jargon that people are using. The technology companies are using it now and then. It's going to go away, you know. But what I comment on these topics is that if it is something that is impacting an individual's life, a citizen's life, right, on a daily basis, in one way or the other, in a less serious way or a more serious way, then this is serious. This is something which is not just, came and go. But this is serious in order to be regulated, in order to be audited and looked upon in a way that can be trusted. That is very important.
For sure. Do you expect a global standard kind of explainability certification to be put in play in the future?
I doubt there would be a
Do you think there'll be a global standard for that kind of certification?
I doubt there would be a global standard. Now, what we're talking in the European Commission is very localized versions of these standards. So there could be one kind of overarching universal guidelines, but each geographic region, or based on the cultures, because we're all different, from the north to the west, to the east, and everywhere. So the guidelines need to be customized for each region. So when you say a gold standard, yes, there are some guidelines and some standards which could equally adopted by all, but within the guidelines, it is very explicitly stated that we need to customize them. We need to adapt them according to the cultural values, according to the citizens, the way they live, their norms. The social norms are very different, and let's appreciate the fact that the social norms are different from country to country. The social norms are different from region to region. So what might be a normal practice may not be a normal practice elsewhere. So in order to respect that and accommodate all of that, that's what I said. Fairness is not monolithic. Therefore, the diversity needs to be considered. So to answer your question, the gold standard, I think there could be some very high-level guidelines, but they need to be adapted and customized per region.
But there's never going to be a one-size-fits-all because of those regional differences that you described.
No one silver bullet.
Fair enough. Is there that kind of defining line where a decision can be made that explainable AI is a key component of the development of a particular solution? And are there guidelines to say in this particular case it's not, or is it more fluid?
Yes. Well, actually, it's not just explainability. It's the 4 key principles. It's the respect for human autonomy. It's explainability. It's the fairness. It's prevention of harm. So these are the 4 principles which need to be considered anyways, while the developers or system, designers are going to consider. And for that, the trainings need to be provided. It's very crucial to give trainings to the developers and the AI designers. That's crucial.
Excellent. Okay. I will wrap up. If you want to continue the conversation with us further, we do have a topic room scheduled for 4:30 today, which is AI in government, and many of our Fujitsu team members will be participating in that discussion. So I would encourage all of you to join us there. In the meantime, I do want to thank everyone for their time today, and thank you so much, Dr. Nazir, for your presentation and for your insight into this important topic.
It's my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Well, that was pretty fantastic. It's a wonderful thing to get to have world-class experts taking questions like this, getting this interaction, this kind of insight. You could see could have kept on going. And as you heard, they're going to be around online, as we all are, to talk more about AI and ethics and its governance. And there's much more conference left for this afternoon. There's more sessions ongoing. So I hope that you will log on, keep interacting, keep questioning, keep connecting to other attendees. Everyone is making each other smarter. Thank you so much for joining us today.